everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Office Hours. And this week, rather than diving straight back into all of this sequencing stuff that we've been doing over the past couple of weeks, I figure I start out with a story. A story that I'm still a little bit salty about. Let's see if I can make this transition work. Yes. We all remember Sunny. Beautiful, beautiful Sunny. Let me tell you what Sunny did yesterday. So, I was doing a work along with a friend, Cassidy, and usually, so I live on the second story of, one of those smaller apartments, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those apartments where you don't have multiple units per floor, it's just one unit per floor, and there's 3 units per building. So, I live on the top floor. Sunny is a fan of stairs, thank the Lord. And she's also very greedy for outside time. So me and my immediate downstairs neighbors are both pretty chill with letting each other's dogs in the yard. And Sunny's also pretty chill about coming up when they let their dogs out. So I usually just leave my back door open so that Sunny can go downstairs and just be free, so to speak. So I do that, and I'll leave her out there for a good solid hour. Usually she'll just come back up on her own when she needs a sip of water or when she's a little bit tired. And we'll play a game of chicken where she'll keep trying to still go outside, but she won't go all the way outside without me. But she'll go on the back porch, so I can't close the door. Anyway, so I was planning on taking Sunny with me to go get my hair cut that day. By the way, my hair is cut. Yay. I feel so clean now. I was planning on taking Sunny to come with me to go get a haircut because my hairstylist was like, I would love to meet your dog. So I was prepping for that. I was wrapping up work and I was planning to go downstairs to get Sunny so that she can come back up and be ready for when me and Cassidy were ready to go. And I go downstairs and out into the yard and she's not there. And I look at there's 2 gates to get into my yard. I look at the front gate and I look at the back gate and neither of them are open. So I'm relax. I don't know whether or not Sunny has just snuck up past me without me noticing. So I go back upstairs and I'm calling her name, Sunny, Sunny Bunny, where are you? And I'm seeing nothing. I go check my room, because usually when she's resting, she's just hanging out on my bed. And then I go back downstairs, and I'm checking all of the little hidey holes. Is she under the bush? Is she, around the curve? Again, both gates are closed. I don't see, any clear signs of, struggle or something like that. But Sunny is nowhere to be found. So, I go upstairs, and I tell Cassidy, so I don't know where Sunny is. I'm gonna go look for her right now. She's like, do you want me to come with? And I'm like, yes, please. So we both get ready and we go downstairs and I see across the street, she's passing by somebody's front yard. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. And then somebody thankfully is actually following her. And I start running up, carefully running up. I'm obviously rushing towards her, but I'm still trying to remain calm. And the person's pointing oh, you're a dog? And I'm like, yes, yes! So I from across the street, God bless, you are just a headache and a half. Sorry, she's down here, so I'm petting her. So she's across the street, and I'm, I check both ways to make sure that there are no cars coming in. I'm like, Sunny Bunny! And she comes rushing towards me, oh my gosh, Mom, I can't wait to tell you, there's a big wide world over there. And the person who's following her was like, yeah, I've been following her for a while. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And she's like, that's a slippery one. And I'm like, yup. And she's like, whatchamacallit, she really likes chasing after those bunnies. And I'm like, yup. And she's really doesn't have a fear of cars. And I'm like, that's what I was fearing you would say. But Sunny came back safe and sound. And even though I'm petting her, I'm still very much mad at her. But then the person who was just following her around the block, making sure that she was safe. And I wasn't worried about her, looking like a stray. She had her harness on, because for the life of me, there's no way that I'll ever be able to take Sunny for a walk without a harness. She is as you can see from the video, she's a consummate leash puller. And, like, her harness had, like, a vaccination tab. And not only that, but if they took her to a pound or if they took her to animal control or something like that, they have microchip scanners. And when I first adopted Sunny, I had a microchip installed into a dog. Anyway, so I wasn't worried about any of that. I was worried about this idiot not being afraid of cars, which is very true. Anywho, she's back, safe and sound. She's my little demon. And anyway, I just thought that I'd start out. Hi, Nicole. I thought that I'd start out with that story about my dog giving me a heart attack and how, you know what? Maybe sometimes it is good to take your dog back to the shelter. You know what I'm saying? All right, onto the app. Much like last week, I'm not going to do a lot of talking through my process. If you guys want to know kind of the thoughts that I've been putting together for this app, I believe I've made the first episode of Office Hours public on my YouTube channel, if you're really that interested. But to quickly recap where we're at, what we're working on is a website planning app where I feel like I need to do this every week, but I gotta turn the volume down on this music. So we're working on a website planning app, which will allow people who don't necessarily know all that much about websites or trying to get a idea of what they should be looking for when they're starting to plan their website. We're putting together an app that will give them a report that will give them a little bit more insight into here are the professionals that you should be hiring, here are the different tools that you should be looking into, so on and so forth, and like when a tool is right for them. So to that end, we've decided a couple of different things. We're going to do a quiz format, and depending on the answers of those quiz, like it'll start out with the short overview questionnaire, which is what is the goal of your website? Do you have a marketing strategy? Do you have a customer journey planned out? And then depending on the answers that are made here, it'll either remove or add certain things. So for instance, if you want to answer what is the goal of your website, I want to sell my product, then it's going to add the point of sale path to the questionnaire. Or if you decide to answer, I want to increase awareness of my business, it's going to add the SEO path. And then it's also going to add to an end report that we're going to be serving to the users, a recommendation to hire a digital marketing consultant / agency. And then not only that, but when it comes to certain terms that the user may or may not be familiar with, we're going to do almost a wiki style kind of hyperlink where if they hover over it, it will either do a pop-up or it will direct them to a page where it has the definition of said thing. Like, let's say that somebody's starting out an e-shop but they don't know what a point of sale system is. Then they can hover over, it'll give the definition of a point of sale system, and it will direct them to, like a more extended Wikipedia style page explaining what a point of sale system is and what it does for your business. So we're focusing on a couple different elements here. We're focusing on what this end report is going to look like for the client. We're focusing on what the questionnaire will do for the client depending on what answers they give. And we're focusing on answering these questions that we laid out a couple of episodes ago. And with all that said, I'm gonna shut the flip up and I'm gonna get back into it, fellas. Now I'm gonna go back to design or brand strategy. You know, one of these days, I'm gonna be done with this stupid, like, sequence map, and I'll be able to get into the actual fun stuff. That's my dream anyway. So here's a bit of a conundrum. Do you have a bread strategy? Yes. Yes, but, and no. So, there are a lot of small businesses who will probably prefer to do a lot of stuff on their own. But, me as a marketer, I want to make sure that A, they're set up with the things that they need, and typically when you're doing it on your own, you really don't have enough experience to do that well. And B, make sure that my girlies get paid. I want to make sure that my girlies get paid. So, the quandary that I'm coming up against is that I can either both recommend they go to a brand specialist in an agency and give them some resources for them to do it on their own. If they answer no, they get all of that. I could ask the follow-up question, do you want to do it on your own or hire a professional? And if they select hire a professional, they can get that recommendation. And if they don't, they can get the resources. And those are my two options. In thinking about the UX, my gut reaction says that if I give them the choice to choose between hiring or do it yourself, that more often than not, users who are purchasing this tool or using this tool are going to opt into doing it themselves. So they forego the recommendation altogether. And if I give them both, they're likely to do the same thing, but at the very least I can get their eyes on some of my trusted brand specialists and agencies. But will that seem cheap to them on their end? Of, oh, of course you're going to do an advertisement or something like that. I don't know. For now, I want my girlies to get paid. I'm going to do both. I'm not going to ask a follow-up question. They will see the professionals in this business. But then that also adds another wrinkle of, if I'm going to develop this, I'm going to need to add in basically a whitelist of agencies or specialists, or at least sources that I recommend where they can start looking for these professionals, and the DIY resources. Like, I'm going to have to read these articles, make sure that they pass the sniff test, and then I can add them to this resource. So, it's a lot to think about. But that can get tabled. And then there's yes, but. I mean, ultimately, it's weird because most of these questions will end in hire a specialist. And there's something to be said about the psychology of adding the question to make sure that the user is actually thinking about it. But also I can imagine it being a frustrating experience in that no matter what they end up choosing, they get the same answer. So I'm wondering if we need to start another freaking table like we did for the content management systems up here, where we're talking about the different specialists. And that way we can add some more granular value to it, where at the very least we can get a little bit more specific about what types of specialists we're recommending. Branding specialists or branding tools? Let's do branding specialists. You know what? I know how I want to do this. Okay, going back to yes, but it's not working, I don't like it anymore, it hasn't been updated in a long time, or I don't know how to use it. If it's not working or you don't like it, you probably want to start from scratch. So you probably want an agency to help you, because the agency is going to be able to give you a top-down, or at least you want to look for an agency that's offering, you want to look for a professional that's offering holistic, I don't even know if I'm using it the right way. You want a professional / an agency that is going to look at the big picture brand. So, but if it hasn't been updated in a long time, you don't necessarily need to go for an agency. You might just need a freelancer to like give it a refresh, you know? And if you don't know how to use it, then you don't even necessarily want an agency or a freelancer. You just need education on how to use your branding properly. So you want a coach, you want a consultant. So let's say branding specialist sources. And let's say title. That's too big. Simply too big. By the way, I should probably say this now. Unfortunately, I will not be streaming next week. I will be at the Small Business Expo. But I should be back the following week, and potentially with a surprise. So let's say size is greater than 1, focus. Or not even focus, offers. You know what? I want to see how marketing agencies are talking about themselves. No memento, actually, because I don't know if I'm going to need to pull up some sensitive stuff, so I'd rather not be sharing my screen. Okay, and we're back. This ain't the one I'm looking for. Nicole, the agency that you told me about like a couple of weeks ago, the one that was working on the Squarespace site, if you have it, I would love it if you dropped their website link in chat. Because I do kind of want to show them off. In the meanwhile, what was... So many words on this website. So many words. Okay, so they're using the same language that I'm using for... See, the trouble with being self-taught is that I never know if, like, the terms that I'm using are actually... Like, I'm almost certain that a lot of the words that I use are not industry standard, so people will look at me sideways when I say something and be like, huh? Like, I promise it makes sense. I don't sound smart, okay? But I am smart. Don't worry about it. See, under offers, these are supposed to be our tags that will allow us to filter more efficiently. So, like, depending on what they fill out in the questionnaire, it will include all of the different types of specialists that have marketing strategy. Or it might disclude everything that, all of the different specialists that have visual identity. Because let's say that you already have your visual identity figured out. But it's also tricky because, like, this varies from professional to professional. Like, sometimes you can have a full-blown agency where they're staffing out, like, every single subtype of marketer. And sometimes you have the brilliant Julie Nichols, who just does it all on her own. But she only offers, like, a few different specialties. It's just tough, man. It's tough. What was the other one that I was thinking about? I think this is the name. Yep. We'll revisit these later. Okay, I think I like that. Come to think of it, if we're talking only about branding specialists, then developers and designers are probably not going to be on that list. There's gotta be a word other than strategy for me to use. And also, do I want to do a budget low end and a budget high end like I did up here? I think I do. I need to stop being distracted by this beautiful website. Maybe I'm just categorizing this wrong. Maybe instead of branding specialists, it needs to be marketing specialists. Yeah, this is feeling a lot better to me. You know, I don't know how much size is relevant because so far it's really only applying to this one thing. So, by the way, what I'm doing right now, just to talk a little bit out loud, oh, that's interesting, is I know that Freelancing Females, which is a directory that at some point I used, like a little bit. I'm still subscribed to their newsletter, but unfortunately I was never able to get any like qualified work from it. Probably wasn't really using it right, but I've never really thrived in places where I have to put a lot of effort into communicating online. I'm just better at doing that in person. Anyway, one of the resources that they have that's really useful is that they give a whole table about with the rates of, like, their users will submit the rates that they typically charge for all of these different services. Specifically, I find more often than not, Freelancing Females is filled with marketing. Marketing related businesses. But of course, like, they do other stuff, like dog trainer. But it's good to just have some eyes on, okay, what are people charging low end to high end? And it even lets you filter in and out different countries, states, experience, so on and so forth. So when I really dive into, when I really dive into budget low end, budget high end, I'll probably be using that as a resource. I should probably make a note of that somewhere. And of course, also it's going to be biased because it's females who historically get paid less. You know what? I think I'll also source probably Indeed if they have that available. In LinkedIn. I think that's a good starting point. Pardon, I'm getting a call, fellas. And I'm back. It was spam. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of spam calls lately to my business number. And I think scalpers have been using it to, like, spoof it. I need to see what I can do about that, if I can do anything at all. See, and this is how you know that Adobe are liars. They're liars. Because they say single app, $10 a month. And yet here's the app that everybody wants, Photoshop, and quite clearly I see it's $22 a month. Or more accurately, $23. But still, it doesn't count if Adobe Express is only $9.99. Liars. Stinky little liars. Well, anyway. It's my dog. Say hi to Sunny. Say hi to Sunny. Hello, my sweet pea. She wants to go for a walkie. I'm also debating whether or not I should end the stream early today because I do have other things that I need to attend to. Gee whiz, I'm having so much gosh dang fun? Question mark? Yeah, I can go for a little while longer. She do be wanting walkie though. Because she hasn't been outside all day. Wonder why. So what I need over here is a knowledge base. Like, where's the place that we can go to learn more about branding? You know what? One way that I want to segment this out is I want to ask another question. You having trouble with... And I'm sure there's going to be a better way to put it, but for now I want to say, like, content, visual identity. So what I'm telling the system to do right now is if they answer, I don't know how to use it, it's going to add specialists automatically. But depending on what they say they're having the most trouble with, the content or the visual identity, then it's going to recommend a couple of resources to help them learn what to do. Or, you know what? No, I'm going to keep it that way. I'm going to write pass here to indicate to not do anything if they say yes. I'm also going to add more to that middle option where it says marketing strategy and size equal 1, meaning you don't necessarily need to hold the agency for a refresh. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm just going to get rid of size. So offers include branding strategy or branding UL or branding content. I need to go back to this whole schema and update all of these to do this logic format instead of just the general recommend, go to developer path. How many of these questions have we freaking gone through? Oh, cool. Almost done. See, another thing that's like troubling about this, not troubling, but another thing that's tricky about this is that this is only supposed to be for website. So you have to get in front of the fact that a lot of people equate social media and stuff like that and content planning to the website, but also can't dive too far into that. You pretty much just have to use the app to educate people and say, I understand where you're confused, but website does not equal social media. And like, you're coming to the wrong app, fellas. You're coming to the wrong app. So I feel like brand strategy is really just this one. Do you have a brand strategy? Because you want the people who are making websites should have a brand strategy in place of some sort. Even if it's like a freelance, although now that I think about it, depending on how big the business is, it might be perfectly reasonable for somebody to decide to do the DIY route, especially if they're a creative professional. Many variables, my fellows. Many variables. Anyway, I might as well just move on to design. But there are still loose ends to tie up here. Alright, friends and fam, I think I'm gonna call it here. This was fun. Shorter stream. But what are you gonna do? Reminder that next week I will not be streaming. I will be at the Small Business Expo. And the week after that, we may return to the app, or we may be working on a website. Who knows? It's still in the works. But until I see you again, have just a fantastic couple of weeks. If you are bummed between now and the next time that I talk to you, I will be bummed. And you don't want me to be bummed, because I'm just delightful. So yeah, goodbye.